Dallas Morning News. Before we get to the season or the game, can you just talk about what went behind your decisions with your coaching staff moving forward?
Definitely. I think first and foremost, it's the time of year where you evaluate everything, and the longer that I do this, clearly gets harder. The personal component. Obviously, you talk about some relationships that I've been involved with a long time. So that part is, probably the toughest, clearly for me. But I think professionally, this is the time of year, and for 17 years, I've always operated under the, and I've talked about this here in the past. You got to look at change, adjustments, and emphasis each and every year. And and frankly, a lot of different variables went into this decision. Obviously, the number of coaches, but I think it's variables that you usually don't talk about in this space. But this was something that was really being discussed as early as last year, and it has more to do with definition and design of your staff, philosophical beliefs, economic structure, all those things that go into it, and just taking a step back because this really started for Jerry and I back in the spring. When I was hired, I came in here. We did a lot of different things differently. It's how the staff was put together, and those, and not diving in every detail. But this was more about change that we felt just needed to happen. So, it's not as performance based or as we like to tie everything, but there is a component of that too. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I wouldn't be standing up here talking about it this week if we're still playing. So, just a lot of different variables went into this one, and it's just something that you'll see. I don't know if you'll really recognize, but we'll operate a little differently from a staff.
So this will be, like you say, it's not just all evaluation of performance. There's also maybe a staff consolidation, like all of these won't be filled as kind of a...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just, getting clarity on identification. I mean, I think you go, anytime you go into a program, I've been fortunate to be on the front end of year one of programs. Those have been incredible learning experiences. I went to Kansas City in '93, but Marty Schottenheimer had already had his program established, but was able to go into as a first install of a new offense. And then no differently. My time in New Orleans. When you're able to go in there day one, you see how there's starting point. Every staff that I've ever been a part of, I mean, I'm sure it's the same in your industry. I mean, there's job description, job responsibilities, there's roles, there's the details and definitions of everything. So, and I think just like anybody, I know for me in particular, it doesn't always stay exactly the same. No, we did not change, hardly at all from last year to this year. But, the reality from a performance perspective, we're 12-5 2 years in a row. So how are we going to move forward? Well, there's going to be change. There's going to be adjustments, and we got a whole lot of positives to emphasize. So that's the clarity of how I go through it. It's it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time, and but trust me, personally, those aren't decisions you really care to make. But we all understand the industry we're working in, the professional challenges, the expectations, and frankly, the higher you move up in this league with responsibility, the higher the expectations. So all those things factor.
All right, so before we start Telegram, are you done making staff changes that you control? Is Kellen Moore coming back as your offensive coordinator?
Well, I think just clearly, this where I'm at. Frankly, I just saw Kellen briefly. My evaluation process is still going on. So I had a chance to meet with Dan, and that's why I was running late before I came over here. Just to get filled in on where what's going on with him and the outlook there. And so we'll continue to talk, and and I'm hopeful to get together with Kellen as early tomorrow.
Mike Towers with ESPN. How difficult is it to operate without knowing if Dan is going to be back and where things stand with him?
I feel good about where we are. I feel good about our assistant coaches and what we've established on defense. I think 2 years is we took a step. But yeah, I think from a staff structure, we'll give Dan his due time. So hopefully we'll have an answer sooner than later.
John Michelle, The Athletic. Speaking of the offense, what's the plan going into this offseason on getting Dak to a level where not just to get better, but get rid of the turnovers and just play at a higher level?
Well, I mean, I know as long as I've been doing this, you're always working on to improve your quarterback. I think just some of the things that are starting to circulate across my desk, and just really had a chance to start looking at some of these things this morning because I have been tied up with the players, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But one of the big emphasis this year was games of 70% completion. And I think Dak had 12 last year, and of 17, I think he had 14 this year, or no, 8 of 14, and 6. Anyways, we've improved in that area. So just briefly looking at that. So you watch that because that's all part of it. The completions, the decisions, turnovers is obviously a huge negative there. So yeah, I think this will all be part of how we look to our offense. We're not just going to change the date on how we do things in 2023. I can promise you that. So we'll look to change and adjust and emphasize what we need to do throughout the offense. I had a chance to speak to every player, and there's some very insightful comments and conversation that you have with your players. Obviously I'm talking leaning towards the veterans. So I think for me personally, I think you have to just take the time, frankly, maybe get a little bit of sleep and take the emotion out of it, and then you sort through it, and that's where I'm hoping to get to starting tomorrow and over the weekend.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Obviously, the running game wasn't where you wanted it, I guess, toward the end of the year. Just when you evaluate that and Zeke and Pollard and even Malik, how do you evaluate that position right now?
Yeah, I'm not really ready to dive into all that. I don't know when the next time we talk, but yeah, we're just getting, we haven't turned the cut up on. We haven't even had a postseason personnel meeting. I understand there's, the list of free agents that we have, but I had briefly just to talk to those individuals, but we haven't met as a coaching staff and definitely haven't met with the personnel guys yet.
Some of the coaches that are expiring contract, do you expect those guys to return?
Expiring?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll continue to work through this. Like I said, we obviously had a very difficult day yesterday, and we're really in day 2 of the coaching evaluation.
Mike Fisher, Spanish Sports Illustrated. Can you say with some clarity that if Kellen Moore is available to you, that is to say he doesn't get a head coaching job, that he's back as your offensive coordinator?
I know. I really don't want to play this game, today. It's been a long couple of days. So Kellen Moore, and just like the rest of the coaches, will be evaluated. Every coach will be evaluated. So the evaluation just, it takes more than one day. So.
Ed Werder, ESPN. How convinced are you that this offense is the direction you want to go with the system you're in right now, as opposed to?
Can you be more specific? I mean, is there something you just were talking about what, terminology or how we run the ball, or?
The system itself, as you have it, it's been here since predates you, obviously.
Yeah, but we don't run the system that Jason Garrett ran. I mean, we use a lot of the terminology, and that was really to benefit Dak and the players that were here when I arrived. I'll say this: conceptually, you need to evolve every year. I mean, you don't. If you ever stay the same, no one stays the same. I don't think it's feasible just to line up and run the same things every year. The variations of what you run and what you believe in. I mean, your staples are there, but how you protect those and so forth. But I don't know what you're looking for. We won't be exactly the same next year. I mean, we'll be, 10 to 15. If you're looking for, we will adjust. It never stays the same. So we will definitely continue to try to evolve our offense. There's no question. I mean, let's not be, blind to the fact of the productivity of this offense. I mean, this has been an extremely effective, a productive offense the last 2 years. I mean, I know the first question is about Dak's interceptions, but look at our scoring average when he returned this year. I mean, it was the best in the league. So I think it's important to recognize all the factual points when we get into not only these discussions with us as coaches, but it'll definitely be a big part of the direction we go.
Newey.
Louis Scruggs, NBC5. Mike, can you self-reflect at all from what you thought you had as your football team when you got there at training camp to how it ended up finishing in your mind about just what you wanted from it?
Yeah, I think it's insightful question. Where when I go back to those days, we had a lot of questions. We were a very young football team. I think we started the year the third youngest team in the league. We still had some. You look at some of the veteran free agents we've added since then. So, my point is there were still player acquisition opportunities involved. But I thought we had an extremely productive off-season program. It was the best one that we had in my time here. So that always excites me going into camp because I know the players are ready for camp. You have to get them ready for camp. But I thought just the way we were able to get our young players to connect. I mean, frankly, the veteran players, almost to a man, were very, very complimentary of our rookie class. Felt it was the best rookie class we've had in my time here as far as how they connected and contributed. Yeah, I thought the unknowns were exciting, but it grew. I thought our young players contributed. I mean, we had a rough first outing against Tampa, and Cooper coming in there and, we're able to win games and continue to get better and, on defense and, keep growing with the young guys. So I like the path that we went on. I mean, you want to be playing your best football at the end. I mean, obviously didn't have that in Washington, but, there's an extreme amount to be proud of. I mean, this was a team that grew. Let's be honest, you all weren't very excited about us at week one, so I think that, we grew into the team that we were close to being where we wanted to be.
Mike, can you also talk about Rob Davis, who you brought with you in his release?
Extremely personal, obviously. Rob is as close to a brother to me as that exists. So tough, but that's the profession. I think just like anything, Rob knows more than anybody what my focal points are of how to get better, what needs to be done. And but yeah, very, very tough decision. But I thought Rob made a tremendous impact in the 3 years he was here. Not only in our locker room, but with our coaching operations. He has a unique skill set, and it's a relationship that'll always be there. So Rob will do great things.
Dave.
I know you had individual discussions with the players as they left, but what was your overriding message to the team as this season came to an end, and what kind of did you get on with them? And
I spoke on some things after the game, but the exit interview, what I've found over the years is if I'm talking too much, you're not really reaching the which you're really looking for, and it's not as much as the quality, it's the quantity, because if you sit there and everything you write down and react to, then you can't do that. I mean, that's not practical. But I have a list of 12 questions, and one of the questions is about the locker room, and I've never, in 17 years, I've never seen a group talk about the locker room the way this year's team talks about the connection that they have, and that's something that I take tremendous pride in, because there's a lot of work that goes into that, the focus that goes into that, and most importantly, the players got to make it happen. So we have a lot to build off of. We have an incredibly strong locker room as far as connection and the belief of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and in our ability to win. So and I think that gives us a great foundation as we continue to look forward into 2023, because the reality is you don't get to just pick up where you left off. We don't get to pick up where we left off in 13 wins. You start all over again. So there's always change. There's going to be change to our roster. There's and there's definitely going to be some adjustments. And but I think we got a whole lot to emphasize. And starting with that locker room.
We found that sort of connection when you have the inevitable change helps it become more accepted because everyone's kind of on the same page and they're willing. Okay, let's give this a shot now. This is something we need to do.
I guess I'm not sure what you mean by inevitable.
Well, I mean,
change.
you're going to have a lot of change. Change is coming. The fact that they're so close knit as a group, does that give you, does that encourage you that they're going to accept what changes are coming along because you've kind of built that trust within them?
Yeah, I think a big part of having a strong locker room is the level of trust and understanding that gives you the maturity to handle change professionally. No one likes change. I mean, but there's comfort, there's confidence, there's connection. That that personally, yesterday was not a good day in the realm of personal relationships. But it's part of our business. I don't look at other press conferences of head coaches, but this is part of how we move forward, and it's tough, whether you agree with it or not agree with it. But one thing I do know that comes out of it is, it's an opportunity for growth. It creates new opportunities for others. And ultimately it comes down to the players, performing and winning games, and we'll continue to pour everything we possibly can into that.
Brad.
Mike, Brad Sham, Cowboys Radio. Just gut feeling. How do you feel about what you have coming out of this year compared to what you felt last year?
At this time last year?
Yes, sir.
I'm still stung from Sunday, and I think I was, I don't know, I'm sure it wasn't much different last year, So, I'm not far enough along. I'm excited about the future. The players give me great confidence and excitement and energy about this championship program that we feel like we're building and have a chance to take it to the next step. So that gives me a whole lot of peace. Particularly sitting down with these guys the last three years. They couldn't have been more positive. Everybody felt we took a step from the year before. But definitely all disappointed because we all felt that we had an opportunity to get to where we wanted to get to. So, yeah, I can. That's the best I can do, Brad.
Mike, how quickly would you like to get the rest of the staff stuff resolved?
Oh, shoot. You always want to resolve that, but I think it's important to go through the evaluation process. If anything, I probably err on taking too long than going too fast. So, I just got to go through the information, have the conversations, and we'll see how it sorts out. Yeah, I don't have a timeline for you.
And then on the personnel side, after you guys decided to move on from Amari, did you do it? You looking back on it, did you rely too much on Michael coming back from the ACL surgery? Did you think a third-round pick could fill in? Should you have approached that differently after?
I think those are great questions. I think those are questions that that'll be part of discussions in the future. I think those conversations are really ongoing. So you're always looking at your decision making. You're always evaluating it because that's all good information to what's in front of you. When you get to the next decision, okay, let's make sure we learn from the decisions we made in the past.
Carlos Nava, ESPN Deportes. Coach, how do you evaluate Isaac Alarcon after 2 years being an international player? His contract with the NFL International expired. Do you think he's closer to be a regular player, practice squad, something like that?
I think he's definitely grown immensely. He's actually headed back to Monterey to finish his degree. So that's his plan this spring. But he's made leaps and bounds from year one to two, and then just first more in the weight room and the understanding of it. but boy, he's really developed into to really fine prospect. You know, one of the things actually Isaac and I were talking about, I think he was in there Tuesday, was, you know, he played a bunch of defensive line for us in the look teams, and I mean, and he never played D-line before, so just really showed, you know, some intangibles, and that really that got us excited. So I mean, he's definitely someone we'll be talking about this spring.
No.
Jonah Javad, WFAA. Mike, how would you assess or summarize the season Dak Prescott had, and what needs to happen around him or for him to get to where you guys want to go?
I think assessment is something we need to continue to look at through the evaluation process. I think we need to go back and comparables of, you know, did we grow as much as, you know, we'd like to, and, you know, from last year to this year. I think the majority of those situational outlooks will be positive of nature. So I mean, summarize. I think, you know, the big thing, you know, it's always, you know, when you get to these spots, you know, the quarterback has a bright light on him. So I think it's just important to take the time to make sure we go, you know, back through everything. So, you know, I mean, we came up short. So, and we're all part of that. It starts with me. So, yeah, I mean, you know, statistically, I thought he did some great things.
And the follow-up to that, and what would need to happen around him or for him in order to maybe get over that proverbial playoff hump?
Well, I think the one thing that you know doesn't really get talked about much when you talk about advancing your football team, and it happens every offseason. You know, there's offseason grades or opinions, and it's all based off who you bring in. You know, who you bring into your team. And living in a draft and develop world since 2006, the one thing you got to really look at is, you know, that second year group, how much are they going to improve going to their third year? You know, that rookie class, you know, that second year jump that they're all going to make. And I have confidence they will. You know, so what's the value of that improvement? So, you know, is that 2 free agents, 3 free agents? I mean, those are all realistic conversations, but there will be self-improvement from within our roster. I've seen it now for 17 years, so I have great confidence in that, and I love our 3 draft classes. So we do know we got that going for us, you know, and it's you know, just the number of guys, you know, working here in Dallas is unique and special because the majority of your players live 5-10 minutes from here. So these guys are, I mean, they're anxious to get back and get rolling, you know, in end of February, early March. So that's a great asset to have, and that all plays into that jump that I know we'll make, you know, internally.
Haley.
Mike, Haley Sutton, DallasCowboys.com. When you look back at the season, what are you most proud of the guys and what they were able to accomplish this year?
I'll tell you, I'd say their connection. This is an extremely tight group. Connection clearly, you know, I think it's clearly reflected, you know, throughout the exit interviews, just in their comments. Their work ethic. I mean, you know, been doing this a long time. You got, not the GPS is everything, but you know, you have, you know, rules and values of regulation that really give you, you know, an idea where you are as far as going through your work efficiency and everything. This is a team that had very high work ethic, very consistent work ethic. And that was from week one all the way through. So, yeah, there's a lot to be proud of, you know, as far as the intangibles you look forward to you know, towards winning. I think, you know, just the obvious would be winning 13 games. I mean, that's you know, that's the level of success that you like to, you know, continue to build off of. But yeah, there's a lot to be thankful for and a lot that I'm appreciative of.
Calvin.
Mike, yes, there's been progress here since you've been here, but what do you say to your fan base that says it's been 27 years since we've got one of those trophies out there? What do you say to them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all just as disappointed as our fans, but I do want to acknowledge the fans. I mean, incredible. I mean, that, you know, when you go to a home away game, you know, on the road to a away game and a home crowd is obviously pretty intensive, but you can still hear your fan base. I mean, I think it speaks volumes. I mean, we talk about this regularly in here as far as how our fan base is heard on the road. So the support is incredible. But I'll tell you this, from the moment I walked off the field, I was starting to think about change, adjust, and emphasize. So I just, please have confidence and clear understanding that we're going to do everything we need to do, to get this trophy.
Scholar.
I'm Skyler Dixon with BAB. You mentioned conversations with Jerry going back to the spring as far as staff changes. Some of these changes are your guys going way back. Some of them have been with the organization a pretty long time before you're here. As you've come through these conversations, where do you feel like your relationship is with Jerry and the front office?
Well, the relationships, or the conversations were more about design, philosophy, and structure, and then in how it applied to, the advancement of the staff too. But as far as my relationship with Jerry, just using his word, we're in an excellent spot. He's the partnership that we have. He's excited about. He told me a number of times this week that he wants me to coach here as long as Coach Landry did, and I said, okay, it's a long time, but I feel really good about our relationships. I think our ability to discuss and disagree is we do a good job of that. So, and I think that's important, because when you get into these situations of free agency and these tough decisions, you got to be able to have those conversations. But also his support and what he believes. I thought he was incredible with the team Monday. His message to the team was outstanding. So, like I said, we have a lot to build off of. But we are in the mode of evaluation, and with that, we'll continue to have conversations about how we're going to get this thing done.
Jeff Gold with Fox Sports. Coach, you talked about evaluating Dak last year against this year. Early in 2021, those first 6 games, he was just in such a zone. What do you remember about what worked during that time frame, and why has it been so hard to get him to play consistently like that since?
Well, I think there's definitely been consistency like that this year. I mean, interceptions are very important, plays in a game, but there's still, another 32 balls he throws during the course of the game, and the productivity that's come off of that speaks for itself. So, Dak's been through some things, this year and last year as far as injury, and I think his ability to come back from injury is outstanding. His resilience is exactly what you're looking for. I don't think there's a man more respected in that locker room, and you're talking about a great locker room. So, there's a lot to build off of. So as far as the numbers of being in the zone, I think when you take a step back and take the emotion out of how our season ended, there's an incredible amount of productivity there.
Newey.
Mike, how do you go about with your staff, other guys that you may want to keep that could potentially go somewhere? I think I like someone like Brian Schottenheimer, who was an analyst for you, like last year McAdoo left. Guys that you bring in that you like, that you try to find spots in. What do you do there?
Well, I mean, a consultant position is something new. I mean, I've never done it before. And there's obviously a personal relationship there that plays into that. But also, both those guys have been in this business a long time, and they have goals and aspirations. I mean, you're obviously both very attractive coordinator candidates. So I think you just have to look at all those opportunities. But consultant is more, that's something we've reacted to. That's not something I came in here and said, hey, I need a consultant position. So something that we just made happen because of the uniqueness of the individuals. So.
Do you feel like you have an in-house defensive coordinator if Dan Quinn ends up getting a head coaching job?
I really don't want to get into hypotheticals, but I love our staff. I think Joe Witt's tremendous. I think we got, a number of guys that can continue to grow. And I think when you look at the staff design, you have your veteran coaches, and then you have your guys that have a little more experience, and then we have some really good quality control guys, younger guys. So our blend is good. So but obviously we'll be making some additions to that, but that's always been the focus.
Mike, how much did you need or want to hear that from Jerry that he wants you to coach here as long as Tom Landry, considering you know the narrative and backstory that's coming with your job and who's could be the next coach and all that?
You know, I get to talk to Jerry a lot, so I've never felt that. You know, I mean, the narrative is externally generated. It's disgustingly, you know, because I've been dealing with this as far as some of the things said about these assistants. I mean, I just think it's our industry should show more respect to the individuals. You know, change is part of it. We all understand it. It's part of our professional responsibilities. But when these guys, you know, their families have to listen to some of the things that are said, it's not right. And no different than my family. So, but no, that wasn't it wasn't a moment, if that's what you're looking for.
Ed.
Yeah, Mike, you have talked in the past about the thing you miss most since you came here is play calling the plays. Is that possible, depending on where this goes this offseason with Kellen or somebody else, that you could be the play caller? Could you foresee that?
Excellent creativity of asking me the question that I've already answered. I mean, I'm just getting started in the evaluation. I'm not calling plays this week. I think we clearly had things situated where I was very confident in how the offense was not only being called, but, you know, how the game plans were being built and so forth. But, you know, I get the result. And it's because of the result that we had that I have to come in here and answer these questions. But, you know, like I said, every coach, you know, including myself, is being evaluated.
Last one.
You clearly believe you guys made progress this year. How you guys made progress as a team?
I couldn't believe.
No, you clearly believe you guys made progress this year. I know it's elusive, but how close are you to getting over the hump? How close do you feel this team is getting over?
Well, I think it goes back to, you know, I think what I said earlier, you know, you don't get to pick up where you left off, you know, so I think our foundation is clearly stronger. You know, it's stronger than today than where we were last year, just because we have more experience. You know, we have younger guys that clearly improved. You know, I'm looking for this, you know, this draft class. If this draft class is clearly the best of the three, then, you know, I think that gives us a chance. So yeah, I'm extremely excited about the future. I may not look like it right now. I've slept in days, but I mean, just you know, we just got a lot of work to do. And this is the time that you start.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.